So right now I wanted to talk a little bit further about the specifics of my family, on my dad's side of the family, in the 74th Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry Regiment. So Tim Smith, the Adams County historian, which I alluded on in my other video about the 11th Corps line, Tim Smith did a video on this, which I'm so grateful and thankful for, that he did specifics about this regiment, about this monument. This monument was hit a couple times, struck by cars and trucks. And it's a shame, but you can still see the cracks. Like, for example, you can see the crack on the soldier's stomach area and abdomen area, and then the flag, it was actually hit, and then the soldier was broke in multiple pieces, but luckily they fixed it and repaired it. So the specifics about this regiment and my ancestors in general. So I have 3 ancestors that served in this regiment, which many Yins know, that I've already alluded to and I've already talked about, but I wanted to talk about them a little bit more specifically because I hold so much respect and honor and dedication towards my ancestors at Gettysburg and during the whole Civil War, especially the Germans on my dad's side of the family. So there's 2 names that you have to memorize with my family and with my ancestors, which are coordinated with this regiment. The names are Christian and Riebel, and they were from Hessen, Germany. They were both sides of the family. So the Christian side, so my 4th great-grandfather, Henry Christian Sr., he and his family moved to the United States in 1847. And they moved out of the Hessen, Germany. They moved out of there because of the 1848 revolution. Many people don't understand, but in 1840s Europe, because of the famine, not just Ireland, but also all of Europe, there was political and economic and social unrest going on in Europe. There was a huge rebellion going on across Western Europe, which was spilling over into Germany. And many of the 48ers, the radical Germans, the liberal progressive Germans at the time, many of the commanders of the 11th Corps, like Schimmelpfennig and Karl Schurz, were part of that 1848 revolution in Germany. So my 4th great-grandfather, his wife, and his children leave Hessen, Germany, and move to America in 1847, and they settle in the current south side of Pittsburgh, which at the time was designated as Birmingham Borough, which was an independent borough across the Monongahela River from downtown Pittsburgh, modern-day downtown. So my 4th great-grandfather and his family settled in Birmingham, which was designated as an industrial hub along Pittsburgh. So my 4th great-grandfather then was accompanied by another German immigrant, my 3rd great-grandfather, Henry Riebel, who was also from Hessen, Germany. Henry came over in the 1850s. So Henry Christian, my 4th great-grandfather's son, Reinhardt, and his future son-in-law, Henry Riebel, all Germans, then enlisted in the 35th Pennsylvania Infantry Regiment, which was then renamed the 74th, redesignated as the 74th. And as I already said in my past video, Reinhardt was killed because of the Battle of 2nd Manassas at Manassas, Virginia, or 2nd Bull Run. Henry Riebel was shot in the arm at the Battle of Chancellorsville a month and a half before Gettysburg. So Henry Christian was the only ancestor that was here at the Battle of Gettysburg in the 74th Pennsylvania. Now, the cool thing about it is that my German ancestors stayed in Southside, or Birmingham Borough, aka Southside, all their lives. And their children stayed in Southside. And for many Yins that are from there, you'll know that Southside of Pittsburgh during the 1800s and 1900s had a ton of German names or German families or German ethnicities. And that is because of the industrial hub or the industrial magnet of Pittsburgh. Many of these Germans that came to the South Side or Birmingham borough at the time was because of the glass blowing factories, the iron mills, then converted to the steel mills. And that is not a coincidence. Germans are very industrious. They're very hardworking and determined people. And that is what caused many of my ancestors from this regiment or before the war to immigrate and settle in Pittsburgh. And after the war, their descendants, the kids that were born and raised in America, would then stay in Southside, aka the Rebels, which would then open a saloon on 27th and Jane called Rebels Bar from the 1900s to the 1930s. My fourth great grandfather, Henry Christian's daughter, Elizabeth Christian, who married Henry Rebel, who was shot in the arm at Chancellorsville, she owned and operated, well, not operated, but owned the original Rebels Saloon in Southside in the 1890s and 1900s. When she died in 1916, her son, Henry Christian's grandson, Charlie Rebel, who was named Carl, more than likely after Major General Carl Schurz of the 3rd Division of the 11th Corps here at Gettysburg. Carl, aka Charles, then owned and operated the bar after his mother Elizabeth's death. But what's really cool about this monument right here is many people would ride past this, they look at this, they go, okay, so what? It's a monument. Well, this is more than just a monument to me. This is designated as the German regiment, okay? And on the back, it gives the details and the specifics about the regiment. And it says here that during the battle, not just during the battle, but the forming of the regiment, it was recruited at Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. See? Recruited at Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Mustered in service September 14th, 1861. So during that time, Abraham Lincoln was calling for more troops into the army. The Germans were very, very willing to answer that call, and that's why my ancestors, my German ancestors, were recruited and enlisted into the Union Army at the time. At the Battle of Gettysburg, 2 officers were killed and 8 men were killed. Wounded, 4 officers and 36 men, which is a total, or captured or missing 2 officers, 58 men, which is total, all in general, 8 officers and 102 men. And the majority of the casualties, primarily the captured, missing, wounded casualties, were because of the retreat, the chaotic retreat through the town of Gettysburg on July 1st, 1863. So what's interesting is that my 4th great grandfather, Henry Christian, the only blood relative of this regiment who was here, he was not wounded, he wasn't captured, he wasn't missing, he was present at all 3 days of the battle. Not just here, but also on Cemetery Hill on July 2nd and 3rd. But this monument, ladies and gentlemen, is very sentimental. It's very special, and it holds a special place in my heart and my father's heart, because this not only represents Gettysburg, not only represents the Civil War, this also represents to my family the South Side of Pittsburgh, aka Birmingham. This monument is a representation of my home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. For all of the men, the German immigrants that moved to, let's just say specifically Pittsburgh in my case, these men were willing to fight, serve, and die in the Union for a country that was their new home. And Pittsburgh was their new home. So anyway, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it.